So again, this system is divisive. The North appreciated it. The North liked this system, but the South believed that it overly favored the North. And unfortunately, Henry Clay's system was never put fully into practice. So again, we have the Tariff of 1816, which divided the nation. During this time, we also have the Panic of 1819, which was caused by the Second National Bank. But one success was the creation of the Erie Canal. And the Erie Canal linked Western farms with Eastern cities. Again, the Erie Canal connects Western farms and Eastern cities. And while this was a start of his national transportation system, it was never fully realized. Now we're going to look at the growth of industry. New laws were being passed in the United States, which encouraged inventors. And inventors were encouraged to be creative and find new ways to make things better. One of the most famous inventions from this era are interchangeable parts. Again, make sure you have interchangeable parts written down. Interchangeable parts were invented by Eli Whitney. And this becomes the base for mass production. Another important invention from this time is the creation of the steam engine. And the steam engine revolutionized manufacturing. Revolutionized manufacturing, and it led to the creation of textile mills. Textile is spelled T-E-X-T-I-L-E. So it led to a growth of textile mills in the American Northeast. And the steam engine also led to the invention of the steamboat. So again, this led to the invention of the steamboat, which made shipping faster and cheaper. And all of this resulted in a factory system taking hold of the Northeast. So next to factory system, make sure you include Northeast. Cities used water power to run their factories. An issue with the factory system is that they had difficulty finding a labor force. So they needed to come up with a new solution. They had difficulty finding a labor force. And so they needed to find a solution. And two main solutions came up immediately. The first is the use of child labor. And second, in places like Lowell, Massachusetts, Lowell is spelled Lowell. In places like Lowell, Massachusetts, they started to recruit young women from outside the city and then housed them in company dorms. And this is where the term Lowell girl comes from when you refer to a young woman who's working. I'm going to pause there for a moment. Any questions about this first chunk of the lecture? It doesn't look like I have any questions, so we're going to go ahead and transition to looking at agriculture at this time. So what we've just talked about is what is happening in the Northeast during the market revolution. However, agriculture changes in this time period as well. In the early 1800s, farming started to grow. Instead of being about farming to provide for your family, those self-sufficient farmers that Thomas Jefferson liked, Instead, it became about having a larger farm, focusing on one crop, and then selling it to distant markets. And because they were able to ship crops, people began to farm more. And one reason why people were able to farm more is because of cheap land. In the West, formerly the Louisiana Purchase, so all that land that Thomas Jefferson bought, that land was really cheap. The federal government also provided farmers with loans so they could purchase more land. So not only is the land cheap, banks and the government are providing resources for the farmers to buy more land. Another reason for the growth of agriculture are new markets. Because of the new roads, canals, and railroads, again, because of the new roads, canals, and railroads, it was easier for farmers to ship their production farther. So for example, a crop like corn, which is really hard to grow, Southern farmers can grow a lot of it, and now they can ship it to northern cities. And as you can see, Troy was a part of one of the main canals in 1840. This image that is now projected also shows you the massive growth of railroads that is happening in this time of the 19th century. However, with the increase of agriculture, we also see an expansion of slavery. And there are two main events that lead to an explosion of slavery at this time. The first is the invention of the cotton gin. The cotton gin was invented in 1793. And before the cotton gin, an enslaved person would have to pick the cotton and with their hands pull the seeds out of it, which is insanely difficult and really time consuming. But with the cotton gin, they could put raw cotton into a machine, simply turn a lever, and the seeds would separate from the cotton. At this time, the South also swaps to short staple cotton. And short staple cotton is a type of cotton that grows much easier. So it's easier to grow. It also can grow in different climates. So again, it's much easier to grow. It grows in different climates, and it requires less fertile soil. So you don't need to have perfect soil to grow short staple cotton. And this leads to the growth of king cotton. King cotton is what we use to refer to the southern dominance of the cotton crop. Cotton becomes the primary source of revenue for the South. But as demands for cotton increased, as we know, slavery will also increase. So the more dependent the United States becomes on cotton as a commodity, the more they begin to depend on slavery. We're now going to go to our last slide before the exit ticket. A peculiar institution is a term that was peculiar institution is a term that people began to use for slavery. And in terms of economics in the South, wealth was measured by the amount of land you owned and the amount of enslaved people you had. So again, white Southern wealth was measured on land and enslaved people. This cotton boom quadrupled the enslaved people's population. Quadrupled. It was 1 million in 1800 and 4 million by 1860. In terms of slave life, or enslaved life, I apologize for not correcting that on the slide. In enslaved life, most people worked in fields, but some, which had specific skills, might work in somebody's home. And as we know, slavery caused the breaking up of families, and it forced women into sexual exploitation. In spite of this, enslaved people maintained aspects of their culture, family, and faith. So despite all that, enslaved people made sure that they kept their culture intact. And there was also a lot of resistance. Some types of some types of daily resistance would be breaking machines, not working as efficiently, and self-emancipation, which is escaping slavery. There were also some revolts, like Nat Turner in 1831, And revolts like Nat Turner polarized the country and forced slaveholders to be more defensive and non-slaveholders to be more critical. Okay. We're going to pause here and transition to the exit ticket in Google Classroom. I want to make sure everybody has enough time. If you have any questions about the lecture, please chat them to me, and I will follow up with you in the chat. And once I see that you've completed the exit ticket, you will be free to go. I have hard copies. I have a binder for each of you guys for your lecture notes. And then we'll go through and add some more materials to your lectures. Mahmoud, Kayla, and Jalasia, you may go. Great responses. Shakeem, you may go. Sorry, Shakeem, I don't know if you heard me, but you're free to go. Shaquasia, you may go. We are at 100% on the multiple choice question. There's a question on the back. For clarity on the last question, on market versus industrial, you just need to tell me the timeline. That's the answer. Alexis just me what you mean by goods. Like which part? And then that's a 100%. Samaj and Takia, do you guys need any help or are you just finishing up? Oh, Samaja just got yours.
I can go.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the Zoom call. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I will talk to you guys later.